Pilgrims, it's the Camino News Update, Wednesday, March 20th, 2024. And let me tell you, pilgrim numbers are up. We're seeing pilgrims everywhere we go. And there's lots of tourists in town because we're 1 week out from Holy Week. Well, we have the official numbers coming to you from Johnnie Walker in just a few moments. But most importantly, we have a special report from Johnnie as to why the Botafumiero has been missing and how much longer are we going to have to wait to see it again. And then we're going to check in with Lindsay Teychenne. You know, he finished the Mozarabe last week, and then he headed to a lesser-known route. And well, he has a few opinions about it that I think are important for all pilgrims to hear. And then we are going to get to see a path in Norway. You can be one of the modern-day pilgrims, like a pioneer pilgrim, really, on this ancient and beautiful path. And then we get to walk to the end of the world with Sven Kaven. Oh my goodness, this footage is amazing. You're gonna love it. So stick with us. Here we go. Let's check in with Johnnie.
Everyone, this is John speaking to you from Santiago. In the last week, I've had emails from a number of pilgrims asking about two things. One is, how are the numbers doing this year? Will there be beds for us if we walk the Camino? And secondly, what's happening about the Botafumiero? Well, in terms of the pilgrim numbers, clearly we've been tracking increases based on last year, and at the moment there's an 18% increase compared to the number of Compostelas which were issued last year. Now, there's 11,000 pilgrims have arrived so far. In the last few days, numbers are going up and going up because, of course, next week is Holy Week, which is one of the busiest weeks in the church's calendar and in the pilgrim calendar. So we'll see whether the trend continues. The advice is very straightforward. If you're concerned about the availability of accommodation, book your first few nights. If you're then going to stay in albergues and you want to walk until you find a bed, then you'll very quickly suss out the momentum of what's going on. And the advice is to walk past the hot spots, walk past the popular places like Pamplona, go early and visit the city, and then walk on until you find an albergue. But we'll keep you posted on these numbers as the year develops. Now, to the Botafumiero, what happened and when is it coming back? Well, just the other day, I was in the company of a person who can only be described as the horse's mouth from the cathedral. And I learned that we know that the renovations went on in the cathedral right up until the Holy Year started in 2022. They ran out of time and they didn't have time to take down the mechanism and renew it and then put it back up again. So the Holy Year started and they were using the Botafumiero and everything was fine until one day in November, when the Archbishop himself was presiding at the Mass. He put the incense into the Botafumiero. It flew as usual. The song was going on in the background. And as the Botafumiero slowed down, clink, a screw from the mechanism dropped onto the altar. Now, everything was fine and it stopped. But the administration of the cathedral decided that this was the time to take the mechanism down. And if you look up at the moment, it's not there, to take the mechanism down and have it renewed. Now, all fingers are crossed. There's a great expectation and hope that the Botafumiero will be back in action for Easter Sunday, the greatest celebration in the calendar of the Catholic Church. Whether it will be there or not, because remember, it needs to be set up a scaffolding on the high altar and so forth. We'll need to wait and see. All we can say is the expectation is that it will be back very soon.
And next up, we have Lindsay Teychenne. Lindsay, let's hear about this walk this past week.
Hi there, Lindsay here again. I'm taking a rest day in Madrid. I've just spent a week having a snapshot experience on the Camino Levante. It's not one of the better known Camino routes. It starts in Valencia to eventually join the Via de la Plata route in Zamora. I walked the section from Almanza to Albacete, a distance of just over 100 kilometres. The way was generally easy walking, wide country roads. The landscape I walked through was dusty, with the predominant features being rocky fields, ragged hillsides and intermittent patches of pine forest. There's very little up-to-date information available for this route. Notably, the Grons website has no accommodation information. The way itself has very poor signage, with few yellow arrows still visible. Whenever I came to a crossroads, I had to rely on mapping apps like Buen Camino and Mappy.cz, which often couldn't agree on the correct route. In short, I wouldn't recommend this route for novice pilgrims. The long distances between towns, the tedium of the landscape, and the uncertainty around infrastructure would be ideal for adventurous pilgrims in need of a challenge and a story to tell. As Spain gears up for Semana Santa, I'm off on a new adventure to maybe enjoy the festivities in a more rural and peaceful environment. Until next time, buen camino.
Now let's check in with Ingeborg and find out about this ancient path in Norway.
St. Olav Ways goes from Oslo to Trondheim. That's the most common way of walking. Actually, we have several trails, but that's the most common way. It's about 400 miles. It's going through beautiful landscape. The history is actually that it goes from different parts of Norway to the city of Trondheim. And Trondheim and the Cathedral of Trondheim, the Nidaros Cathedral, a burial place, the shrine of St. Olav, was a Viking king, and he kind of gathered Norway as a Christian country back in 1030. So it's a very, very old historical pilgrimage destination. So it goes through valleys and on top of mountains and passing through some gravel paths, rarely on asphalt. It's more difficult than the Camino. Stretches that you would walk would probably not be as long as you would on the Camino. So normally it's about 20 kilometers. I walked it without doing any training before, so I think most people will be able to do that without any training. You choose if you want to sleep in a hotel or an albergue, or sometimes it's only small huts, or it's really simple accommodation. So you should be prepared for simple accommodation and also for food. So sometimes you will have to bring food along from one place to another. This is a trail that is under development, so it's a good chance for being like a pioneer on the Norwegian or Scandinavian pilgrimage trail. It's well marked. That's I work in the Pilgrim Center in Trondheim in the reception of pilgrims, and that's one of the things that the pilgrim says, that it's easy to find their way. And if you want to be online, we also have a digital map. I would recommend to start in June or maybe late May, and both June, July, August, September, and even October can be nice. Normally we say that you will use 32 days from Oslo to Trondheim, and then you will have 1 day a week to relax. So if you don't have any relaxing days, you can use like 28, 29 days.
Now we get to walk to the end of the world with Sven Kaven.
Bring bread and some wine. Our guests are all waiting, your friends and mine. We'll sit down together and serve up good fare, for the land surely blessed us with plenty to share. and tell stories till midnight. Sure, it won't be dull. We have more in common than divides us, you see. So be at peace, Pilgrim, you're welcome and free, and I'll pour you a glass, and we'll toast this fine day. When you came here for a visit, whilst walking the way, and I'll pour you a glass, and we'll toast this fine day. When you came here for a visit, whilst walking the way. Oh, Treya, Jesuseya, oh, Treya, Jesuseya, oh, Treya, Jesuseya, oh, Treya, Jesuseya.
Well, that's it for this week's show, Pilgrims. We'll be back next week with the new show. Until then, we hope to see you in Santiago. Ciao!